Ben Carson is finally getting out of this race, and honestly, it's about time. When he was exposed way back when, he should have made a decision either to go with the people that had gotten him to basically the #2 spot behind Trump, or to basically to get out, because the people that he decided to go with basically just took him down the drain. And principal among those people is Armstrong Williams. Now I'm going to play this clip from Roland Martin's show, TV News 1, and the hypocrisy of Armstrong Williams, in my mind, is astounding. It's astounding. And again, Carson was the #2 guy behind Trump at one point, but because of his own ineptitudeness, as far as willingness to allow himself to be tutored, and he actually went down when he got hit on foreign policy questions, where he basically showed pretty much no knowledge of the foreign policy side. And when his own quote-unquote foreign policy advisors tried to work with him, and he just was not able to absorb it in a timely manner, and then was exposed in speeches that he gave, interviews that he gave, and in the debates. His fate was pretty much sealed. If he had pretty much tried to stay away from those, gave quick, simple answers, and just moved away from it, he might have been much better off. But anyway, let me play this clip from Roland Martin's show, where Armstrong Williams is going to sit there and try to make some lame excuses, and basically not want to acknowledge that he really was the cause of Carson, one of the main causes for Carson's demise and getting out of the race.
That I've been trying to get across in these debates. Why sit there and talk about each other and tear each other down when we have such important issues to deal with? It feels like you're talking to a brick wall.
Republicans will be meeting tonight for a debate on Fox News, but Dr. Ben Carson will not be there. He's announced that he will not be attending the debate, stating that he doesn't see a path forward to winning the Republican nomination. So far, he's only amassed 8 delegates through the various states thus far, and so he has an uncertain future.
Now that troubles me only because, number one, Detroit is Carson's hometown. So if there was one place that you actually wanted to get out there and say any and everything that you wanted and needed to say, tonight would have been the debate to get in there and say whatever. He could have totally disregarded all the questions posed to him to say whatever he wanted to say. But instead, he decides he's not going to show up at the debate, but tomorrow at CPAC, he's going to show up and say whatever the hell he's going to say. He would have reached a lot more people by getting on that debate stage tonight. But again, that's just another example of poor decision-making as far as he and his campaign are concerned.
Right now to talk about this is Armstrong Williams, who is the business manager for Dr. Carson, an advisor as well. Armstrong, good to have you back. So the question is this here, and this is what Dr. Carson released yesterday. Please pull the graphic up. I have decided not to attend the Fox News GOP presidential debate tomorrow night in Detroit, which is his hometown. I do not see a political path forward in light of last evening's Super Tuesday primary results. However, this grassroots movement on behalf of we the people will continue. I appreciate the support, financial and otherwise, from all corners of America. Gratefully, my campaign decisions are not constrained by finances, rather by what is in the best interest of the American people. Real simple. Is Dr. Carson dropping out of his presidential campaign?
Well, obviously, if he's not attending tonight's debate in his hometown of Detroit, it's obvious that he's decided to make different decisions to move forward, and that there's not only no pathway for victory, there's no pathway for remaining in the race.
Will he endorse any of the current candidates?
No.
at all?
No.
There was a point when he was leading. He was tied with Donald Trump in Iowa. What changed? What changed? Because he had significant support among evangelicals. Folks liked his demeanor, but all of a sudden, things changed in this race.
You know, one of the things that people don't say enough about Mr. Trump is that Mr. Trump is sort of ghetto. It's like a gangster. You know, he speaks the language, can be disrespectful, he can be rude, he can use profane language, all the things that we condemn in that type of music. And yet, there seems to be no ceiling that he cannot get away with. Dr. Carson is a gentleman. He's decent, he's respectful, he's not going to ever be combative. And so when San Bernardino, California, and Paris, when those attacks took place, the American people were looking for a war president. Nothing changed about Dr. Carson. His likability, his favorability, his honesty, his credibility. What changed was that people made a different decision on what they wanted in leadership. And if you're not bombastic, if you're not rude, and if you're not saying everything that people wanted to hear, whether you could deliver on those promises or not, you really didn't have much of a chance to continue at the tier level where Dr. Carson was. And so he can never become that during the debate and on the road of the campaign. This never could.
Being soft-spoken, being someone who was thoughtful, you think on the stage with a Trump, with a Christie, it was just so much, I would say, testosterone, ego, a bombastic nature that it drowned everyone else out.
Well, it's even deeper than that, Roland. The media, their debates were set in motion and organized to cater to the entertainment value. The debates were not set in motion to cater to intellect, to cater to real dialogue. It was catered to benefit someone like a Donald Trump. It was about ratings, it was about money, it was about entertainment. And so Dr. Carson, the debate format never worked for him. As much as he said, I'm going to be more aggressive in the next debate, and also remember, also in the debates, as much throughout of his campaign, even when he was leading Trump for a while, he was often ignored by the press, rarely mentioned, rarely given the acknowledgement, because many felt he never belonged on that stage.
He was, first of all, he was criticized for many of his answers, for not having strong or in-depth policy proposals. Also, you were criticized. There's this huge rift within the campaign. Several campaign folks left saying you were at fault as well. And so how much blame also goes to the internal drama in the campaign?
Listen, that's part of the process. You're going to always have conflict. You're going to always have tension will flare. You're not going to always be on the same page, especially when you're dealing with someone like myself, who is an outsider, had no official role with the campaign, and campaign strategist who really wants to determine Dr. Carson's message. They want to...
And that's exactly the problem. Ben Carson was sitting up here listening to you. You have no experience, especially politically, other than, your talk radio show where you're a right winger. And he failed to listen to the people who actually did have experience in the political arena. So him listening to you basically was his downfall. He should have kicked you to the curb and stayed with the people who had gotten him to, the heights that they got him to. So you can say what you want, and he could say what he wants, and he did come out with a press conference after all those people jumped ship and tried to sugarcoat it and say he had to make changes and now his ship was righted. But what sense is there for the ship to be righted when you're circling the drain? He should have basically, if he was going to blow everything up, he should have blew you up and gone with the people who got him where, up to, almost the top. But, Armstrong Williams is unwilling to accept any responsibility for this thing to get blown up.
Control their finances. They want to control everything. And Dr. Carson is not the kind of personality where you can control him. And so he had me in place to sort of balance it out. And obviously there was a come to Jesus moment during the end of 2015 where a decision was made that his apparatus had to change and they were let go and we remained in place. And so the apparatus works now, but not much is...
How can he say the apparatus works now? Ben Carson is dropping out. Jesus Christ, the apparatus works now. Yeah, right, okay. It works now because you got your dumbass up in front of Roland Martin right now, basically, you know, I can't, I'm not even going to say lying. I'm just going to say spinning like hell, and it's a damn shame. I mean, I'm not a Carson supporter. Don't get me wrong. I thought Ben Carson was basically full of shit. But all in all, at least, you know, if the man is running, he's running up there, he probably would have been a fairly decent foil to Donald Trump's, you know, crazy ass statements all over the place. But as Armstrong Williams said, his voice wasn't heard because, you know, people didn't place any credence in anything he was saying because he showed up as being a dummy as far as foreign policy was concerned. He was just making you know, just too many damn mistakes. And given, you know, the stuff that happened in San Bernardino and Paris, people were looking for somebody to get out there, you know, all fire and brimstone, where he could have actually been the voice of reason, even though he really could have been pushing, you know, preparedness and again, you know, just being careful about the terrorism, etc. But once he showed up as a dummy, you know, he was basically done. He should have dropped out right after New Hampshire. But, you know, it is what it is.
Changed since the terrorist attacks in Paris and San Bernardino, California.
What was it like when he came to that conclusion that this race is over?
You know,
was it, were you with him in person? Did you talk on the phone? What was that moment after Super Tuesday?
surprisingly, it was very emotional for them.
See, them, Dr. Carson and his wife?
No, his team.
Okay.
Everybody was very emotional because he's such a good man. And, you know, I said a couple of weeks ago, which I don't think it went over well with him or the team, that, you know, look, we didn't do well in Iowa, didn't show up in New Hampshire, and placed last in South Carolina. I don't think the narrative is going to change. I don't think that what you're hoping to have take place in Super Tuesday is going to come about. And yet they were convinced. They were convinced that Super Tuesday would be that miracle that he was looking for that would show him the way. And so, you know, I said to Dr. Carson, I said, look, you're going to have to make some tough decisions because I think March 2nd is going to be D-Day for you. You got to probably decide that it's time to move on. And they did not necessarily want that narrative out there. So, you know, I stood back and then Super Tuesday came about, and we spoke extensively, and, you know, he admitted, he said, you know, the one thing that doesn't work well in a campaign is being honest and being very candid. And, you know, he said, look, we've got to make some tough decisions today, and I did not attend the meeting, and they made the decisions, and when he made the decision that he would not attend the presidential debate in his hometown, which is something he had been looking forward to for a long time, he said the time has come. And so, you know what, again, he could have gone tonight, taking up space, knowing that he was going to not be in the race for long. Again, he showed his honor, he showed his character, and in the end, he will always have that, and he will always be respected. And what he brought to American politics, that you can be honest, you can be decent, you may not win, it may not be the formula, but he never compromised his principles for the sake of winning public office.
That was a really nice speech, spin, whatever you want to call it. But I would love to know what Carson's financial picture looks like at this point. And I'm almost willing to bet you that he's close to being out of money. And that's one of the main reasons, other than not being popular and not getting any delegates, that he's chose to drop out. Again, I question the timing as far as not getting up on that stage and using it as a platform and then bailing out at the CPAC tomorrow. Now, I will pretty much guarantee you that you will not hear from Dr. Ben Carson, just like you really haven't heard from Herman Cain once he officially bails out of this thing. Armstrong Williams talks about Dr. Carson not being able to be maneuvered, but I honestly think Armstrong Williams actually maneuvered himself into a position of strength within Carson's campaign, and all the decent people that Carson had saw the handwriting on the wall and jumped ship, because how do you leave a paid position with one nominee, join another nominee in an unpaid position. That tells you that there's something absolutely wrong with what was going on with Carson's campaign.
So, Dr. Ben Carson, out of the GOP presidential race, what will he do next?
There's plenty to do. You know, there's still the role of advocacy. There's still candidates that are courting him. He still has a role to play with the policies that he cares about, what it has to do.
I don't understand. He still has candidates that are courting him. You just got through at the top of this broadcast saying that he is not going to endorse anybody. So why would they court him if he's not going to endorse anybody? You know, and he's such a strong-willed person that he's not going to change his mind. Armstrong Williams, I've listened to him several times, and every time I listen to him, you know, he may be a good businessman possibly, but I'm less and less impressed by this guy.
The grid, whether it has to do with what's going on in inner city with in terms of helping blacks get into this empowerment game and lessening the poverty and the strife in his communities. And so, you know, Dr. Carson has a lot of influence with members of the GOP,
no, he doesn't.
candidates that are running today, because you can tell they all respect him and he showed great honor to him.
No, they don't.
So he will be a voice. He will be someone that would influence this party, which and it does need his perspective going forward.
Armstrong Williams, certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Well, that's pretty much it. Ben Carson history, and a year from now, I predict we will not even remember that he was, even in the running for president of the United States.